Hi everyone, in this video I want to show you how to go from this crazy custom resource definition that I can use to create a custom resource to create an MySQL service running on the data platform to something more streamlined and more developers friendly like this. Create a self-service component that I can put on my developers portal, providing just the information that the developers is allowed to do and wants to do. And we're going to do this without writing a single line of code. Are you ready? So let's make that happen. So first of all, I'm going to use a data platform called Ivan. In the description, I will put a link where you can create an Ivan account for free, no credit card ask, with a lot of credits to try out all the different services. You can see Kafka. There's also Flink, Dragonfly, Walkie, OpenSearch. In my case, here today we will try to create a MySQL. So I can go through this console here, the Ivan console. I love this console, but you have a lot of options. I have to choose a cloud provider, a region, and then I can choose a different plans, and I have a lot of other options. Me as a platform engineer, I probably don't want to give access to this console to my platform users, and I want to provide them a streamlined self-service component. There are different ways of doing that. One way of doing that today is going through the Ivan Kubernetes operator. So we have an operator that you run in your cluster, okay? And then we have a CR for each service type. So for instance here, in our case, we're going to create a MySQL. That is the CR that we are going to apply on our cluster. And again, the developers could directly apply that on the cluster. Maybe they don't have the rights to go on the cluster. You could go for a GitOps approach, but again, you give them access to the CR. And in the CR, you can pass all the options that we had on the console. So how can we limit that? One way of doing that is by using a portal. And the portal I'm going to show you is called Port. It's an open internal developer portal. Again, you can create an account for free, no credit card ask. There's also an open demo. That means it just with one click you get a demo of the portal with all the options enabled, and you can click around. It's pretty crazy. You can do a lot of stuff. Today we will just focus on one part that interests me, which is the self-service part. So that is the account that I created. It's pretty empty. Here we have some self-service that has been created by default. But what I want here is to have a card. This is called create MySQL. The developer enters a few options, okay? And he clicks on create, and it gets created on my Ivan platform over here. Okay, so I need an Ivan account. I got one. I need a cluster, a Kubernetes cluster. In this case, I'm going to use a cluster that I created yesterday on Saivo. I would like to thank all the people from Saivo. They gave me a lot of credit so I can spin up clusters and make all those cool demos. And you should really try it out. It's just 60 seconds and you get a cluster running. Anyway, we got there and we have our platform here. So we can start building this stuff. And again, I shouldn't have to write a single line of code. So how can I make my portal discover my CRDs, my custom resource definitions that live in my cluster? If I go here to the builder, I got here my data sources, which lists all my different data sources. I got a link with my GitHub account, really important to import my repos, check my PRs, execute some GitHub actions, etc. And I got here my cluster, which is represent the connection between my cluster and my portal. It's really easy to install. All the documentation is provided. It's a Helm chart, and basically it installs a controller on my cluster that will send all the information to my portal. Okay, so if I click here and I scroll a bit down, here in mapping, I have this really interesting line, which is called CRDs to discover, okay? And here, basically, I told my cluster, hey, are there any CRD with the name mysql.ivan.io? And if yes, could you import them and do some stuff for me? and you will see what will exactly happen. Okay, so I think I just put a space and do .io. Let me resync here. You don't see it, but I'm in front of the button, but there's a button here called resync. Okay, that should sync. We can make sure, so if I connect to my namespace that contains exporter and that I do a logs of it, I should try to, let's ignore this part. Okay, that should be good. Okay, let me go back to my portal. And let's see, first of all, if I go here to my data model, look at this. I got this imported for me, MySQL. If I click on it, there we go. I get a visual representation of my custom resource definition. Okay, basically all the fields that I can pass are represented here, which is cool. So it's really a blueprint. And what can I do with this blueprint? Well, I can create self-service action. So if I go now to self-service, look at this. I got this new card that was created just for me called Create My SQL. Me as a platform engineer, before providing this self-service component action to my developers, I can fine-tune it, make sure it calls the right backend. So let's go to edit. This is okay. Let's take a look at the user form. So here I can decide what the developer will see. Okay, if I want, I can go also in JSON mode to have total control, but for our case, should be enough. First of all, this one here, add secret key and add secret ref, that is a reference to my credentials of my Ivan account, okay? And that is something that I would like to provide by default. So the key here is a default value called Ivan token. There we go. Let's make it required, but it won't appear. And the name is also required, and it's called token. Okay, just to make it clear here, I'm basing here my stuff on this CR. That is what I just did here. Okay, then cloud name, I saw that. So let's go with the assumption that my developers can only create services on Google Europe REST 1. How can I do that? Let's go back here. Let's go to cloud name. And I put here the default. And I know this field is not visible. I could make it visible, but I don't make it visible. And I say true and save. And the last one is the plan. So what kind of plan do I want to provide to my developers? What can they choose? By default, it's a text, so they have to type the plan. But also I want to streamline that, so I will go for a select. Okay, and in this select, what can they choose? They can choose startup plan 4 or startup plan 8. There are a lot of different plans, but here I'm taking this one here, startup 4. Go on the Ivan documentation if you want to see, but it's not really the point here. I save that. Cool. Then I have to decide for a backend, because when my user click on create, something needs to happen. Okay. I can choose for a backend. There are different options here. I could trigger a webhook, run a Jenkins pipeline. In my case, I want to run a GitHub action that is already there and ready. It's ready to receive a CR and to apply the CR directly on my cluster. I could also go for the GitHub options. This is also available in my repo using Argo CD in this case. But here we keep it simple. My action applies the CR to my cluster. So my GitHub account is Sebastian Blanc. The repo is this one here. Ooh, you can see. Let's just go back to the CB port action. So here it has filled, but don't worry. That was my rehearsal just before. Now it should be good. Here I say, that is a repo where you will find the action. The workflow is named like this, okay? And that is all the magic mapping that happens. The default here is correct. And again, I click on save. And I should be more or less good to go. So you can see here, I have, if I go to my services, I don't have any service running here, otherwise it will be listed. And here I say, hey, I want to create a MySQL. I will call it CB MySQL. Namespace is default. The plan, look at this, that is what we created for. And the project name, it's called DevRel Sebastian. That's my project. But you could also hard code, not really hard code, you could make it dynamic depending where the developers come from when you log in. It is filled in automatically, okay? But here I fill it in. And then I do just an execute. There we go. That will trigger my GitHub action. So we should see here a new action that is getting created. Okay. That will receive as payload the string representing my custom resource. It will apply that to my cluster. Okay. And once the cluster receives this custom resource, since I have the Ivan operator running there, it should create the service on the platform here. So here in a few seconds, if everything goes as planned, okay, the action may take some time to run. Let me see. Yeah, that's the thing. Depending, oh, there we go. Resources readiness, okay. In a few moments, apply to cluster. Oh, already happened. So probably my operator is running that now. We can also make sure that everything goes as planned here. I can go to my Ivan operator and check the logs, and hopefully everything goes wrong. Oh, here it says cannot get secret token not found. That is probably because I did an error. So that's not really a problem. If I go back here and I go back to my action and I say user form, the key is token. Yeah, I did the opposite. The key is token and the name is Ivan token. Sorry about that. Okay, I save that, but also a good way to show you how easy it is to update. I save it. Okay, and then I create my SQL second try. There we go. I go for plan 4 and it's DevRel Sebastian. Okay, again, I execute, it creates, it triggers my GitHub action, which triggers my Ivan operator, and then the Ivan operator will provision my service on my data platform. And you saw that I was able to provide nice component on my portal. And this time I really hope I didn't made a mistake, because honestly, I don't want to record the whole video again. And there we go, there it is. MySQL second try. My service has been created. As I promised, not a single line of code was needed. And it's still using the flow that I wanted. So it's really creating a CR that is triggered, that is passed to a GitHub action that passes it to my cluster, and then the operator picks it up and provisions the service. Okay, but for the user, it's just a matter of going on the portal and click create, and there we go. Okay, that was it. I hope you enjoy it. I have a lot of other things to show you. Also how you can combine that with other products like Cratix. I love Cratix, where you can combine different operators together and then create a streamlined component view on port. Okay, so stay tuned and enjoy the end of your weekend. Bye bye.